Hi, I'm Nina. This is Mori Makes, episode 2, and we are making a zine. For me though, making zines is something I used to do a lot. This is me in my 20s, and I made zines every month for the punk house I lived in, and I also made a bunch of show posters for bands and events. So for me, this is like going back in my old ways. There are 3 reasons why I wanted to make this video. First one is I wanted to make a zine about the bits I learned so far about building dungeons. Although these points are easy to find all over the internet, they are things that I personally would like to remind myself of in order to make some good dungeons. And there were a few comments that kind of inspired this whole video, so if you are one of the curious ones, thank you. Second one is Bill Making Stuff makes the Gutterland Gazette, which is a paper that is set inside his world, and I thought that was such an awesome idea, I simply must try my hand at it. The third one is to be in the lore. I think the greatest gift to imagine a world is to spend time in it. The Marauders in the world of Morium are an underground group of thieves and mischief makers. The rulers within the Citadel have successfully painted them to be an evil group of creatures. They're a group of people who have noticed that humanoids are the only creatures on the entire planet that pay for rent, and think that that is an insane concept. They believe that access to food and water is a right all creatures should have, and work hard at providing those things to people, even though it is in the way that the rulers of the Citadel would consider to be against their wishes. They work within the shadows and don't like to bring notice to their actions. There is no spokesperson for the Marauders, but their network is vast and stretches across all of Morium. They seem like the type of people to run an underground newspaper, something that can help connect others in discreet ways. It can share new places and information and to teach about whatever topics they feel are important at the time of production. It's a way to get news without a filter, just pure information for the curious, and also can uplift other voices to strengthen the connections between the lands. Dungeon map making. I love the idea of map making for gameplay. I love level design and thinking about how a player will wander around a room and where they would explore. And I think the biggest part that I find fascinating is that every single room can either be an eternal memory that sticks within a player or be ephemeral, something that you spend time dreaming up and that no one will ever find. I put links in the description to where I learned these concepts. I'm sure there's more to come in the future. Back to gameplay. The thought is that we want to have an emphasis on exploration, give players more agency, and give them the feeling that they get to decide where they go. Here are some points that I find important to include in my dungeons. The somethings. Something to try, something to kill you, something to steal, something that doesn't make sense, and something that may never be found. Multiple entrances. The Marauder giving tips on what is inside a dungeon would like to say that there is always another way in than just the first entrance. Add other entrances because there are also looping paths. With this, your players can have options and possible vantage points, or you can just trick them and make them feel bad for not entering from the front. With looping paths, PCs can also run through the same area knowing new things that they otherwise hadn't known. Vertical paths. I don't know how this mutated in my mind, but basically I think you can have a path that can lead players to a different level within a room, or a path that unknowingly takes them to a different level. There are moments where you have to climb up or down something, or that there is a skeleton throwing rocks at them from a cliff, and there is a doorway behind the skeleton that could lead to a different part of the dungeon. It doesn't always have to be a flat, winding dungeon. Story rooms. This is a place for ambiance. It's a place to get lore and information. Secret paths. I love the idea of a secret path. It's a crack in the wall that someone can shimmy through, or a vent to crawl through. A pathway only used by scavenging animals or worker tunnels that are hidden behind well-disguised doors. The Marauders, for example, have a vast network of tunnels that dip in and out from levels. Trying to find one of those would be a great benefit to our intrepid travelers. Missed connections. Everyone can make a zine, but no one will ever be the same. Inventing a character for Missed Connections means I created an entire race, and that means more lore possibilities. Not everything you invent needs to have a huge history, though. But it's quite the profound thing to realize just imagining a character meant for such a small article could mean that they are just one of many and can have entire histories written about them. I do want to keep things kind of vague, though, when it comes to creating races and cultures. I don't want to railroad the DM, I think. I would like to leave things to be filled in or cultivated by the DM. Make it their game, after all. Not only does it apply to creating characters, I also noticed it happens with places. I decided I wanted my world to have trains, so that could be a whole challenge all on its own. New obstacles and opportunities to explore further in the creation of trains and other parts of the world. A train extension. Or only parts of the world can be reached by train, but there are things in the way preventing the train to depart. Ah, the possibilities. Encounters. There are 3 pillars of D&D: social, exploration, and combat. This part of the video is dedicated to Faypop because I watched their video on encounters and this is what happened. Social encounters. Someone or something to talk to. I guess these encounters are typically when you're in town and shopping, or when there is an NPC giving lore. Pretty standard encounter, just chatting it up. Exploration. Environment-centered space. This one I think could be quite tricky. How can you inspire players to be curious about their surrounding? There's so much nuance and gentle pushes to really get players into understanding they are in an exploration point in the game. Combat. This one is self-explanatory. The kill or be killed sequence is here. Next up is where we get to the really interesting parts. This is where we mix encounter types together, mixing exploration and social. The example that I gave is a mad witch rambling about the entrance of a dungeon and you're writing it down before she forgets. Maybe she's rambling a potion and you're trying to find all ingredients before she forgets. It's basically, how can you explore a space and talk to somebody or something at the same time? Mixing together exploration and combat, what I imagined immediately was that you need to remove rocks that block the path and fight skeletons at the same time. Might even have to deal with finding a key or a puzzle while fighting off somebody or something. The team might have to split up and one group is trying to read an ancient tome to open the door while the other group is fighting skeletons. Social and combat is the very first one that I thought of. and I love this one a lot. I think it would be so funny. The example that I left is a hermit standing on a cliff, prattling on while you fight a monster. What is he talking about? He may be giving the PCs some secrets that might help them along the way in the future, but you are too distracted to understand what's going on because you're fighting. This one is the most grandiose of all encounters, and that is to try and combine all three together: social and exploration and combat. My example was a drunken sellsword helps you navigate traps, and every mistake he makes, a creature is released. Battle them while trying to find the traps on your own, or get proper info from the sellsword. Loot stashes. In the occupied house and political punk environment, it is very frowned upon to take photos, so even though it was such a huge part of my life, I don't really have that many photos. So being able to make something like this takes me back, and it is something that I am allowed to share openly. I'm happy to be able to have created a world in which I can invent characters and scenarios in which I could start making zines again like this. And here I just made some advertisements for different things, as well as a D8 chart for random loot. Maps Part 2. A task for every skill. There should be thief tricks, magic tricks, fighting and strength tricks, rogue tricks. Whatever specialty is in the party should have something special for them. Tracking creatures. Some creatures prowl and may travel far and frequently. They may follow sounds or smells or vibrations. They can roam from room to room, and there are others that can clean up the dead. You can roll for encounters. The last bit that I want to share for making dungeons is shelter spots. There could be short rests or long rests, or a spot to chill, maybe build a fire. It all depends on how long it has been or how big the dungeon is. I think encounters can also happen during respite moments, like a traveler sees the smoke and comes by and visits, or there's little creatures that are attracted to the sounds of you. Anyway, this is it for the zine, and now time for the reveal. So, what do you think? Do you like the zine? Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video. I think the next video will actually be the Big Bot Bash, which I'm super, super excited for. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.